I, Robot by Isaac Asimov. This is a collection of short stories that explores the evolution of robotics in the future through many different themes and scenarios. Some are more science-based, and some are more human-based. All of these stories are told through the lens of one Dr. Susan Calvin. She's a robot scientist, and she is directly involved in some way with every single story within this book. The stories span over decades, and they're all tied together using Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, which are: a robot may not injure a human being or, through an action, allow a human being to come to harm. A robot must obey the orders given it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. A robot must protect its own existence, as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. Each story in this book presents a different ethical dilemma or technological malfunction, and it ranges from robots developing some kind of unexpected behavior to complex interactions between robots and human beings. And each story in some way brings a kind of focus to how do these 3 rules work when human emotions and human behavior is so flexible. How do robots adapt to this? I thought that this was pretty good. It had some really strong stories, really interesting ideas all throughout it. For it being a collection of short stories, some are obviously going to be a little stronger than others. I had my personal favorites. I really like the opener, Robbie. I really like the one about the robot cult as well, which that might be a bit of a spoiler, but that was probably my favorite one. I think its strengths lie in its themes and also its speculation of what the future could end up looking like. And for me, the craziest part of it was that I'm reading this in 2025, and AI is really starting to become a major force in the world. And as the technology advances, how is it going to be implemented? And what are the rules around how it can be used and what it can do? This book is almost 80 years old, and we are just now entering into the era where these stories are going to start looking more and more real. And I think that that's really interesting and absolutely terrifying, because this book seemed to be a lot more hopeful about the future than the one that I'm looking at. If you'd like to see my final ranking and, overall thoughts, you can go ahead and skip forward. I'll have the timestamp down below. But for now, I'm about to get into spoilers. So if you do not want to be spoiled on iRobot, now's your chance. So let's talk about the specific stories and just certain details and things that I really liked. The Robbie story I thought was really great and a really strong start. This is the only normal human being one that we have where it's just people on the street, ground level. These aren't scientists. These are just normal people working normal jobs. And I love that it's all about fear from the mother and her wanting to get this robot away from her child because she is terrified of it. And then the emotional connection that the daughter has with Robbie, and when he is gone, her just kind of becoming really insular, just being really emotional. She continually talks about, when Robbie comes back, or we need to go find Robbie. And her mom's just like, ugh. And the dad is kind of caught between them. His dad doesn't really care. Mom seems to be the one who wants this. The child doesn't want this. It becomes this kind of dog situation almost. And it's really sad. What was really interesting about it was the child's perspective of Robbie is just this thing. Robbie's always been here. Whereas the mother has this kind of fear instilled into her about robots and the danger that they pose, probably born in an era when robots were not around. The child doesn't understand that concept. Robots have always been a part of her life, and so she does not see them as this crazy, scary threat. I also love the one about the robot cult, or the robot that starts the cult on the space station. This one had to do with human fear, but it seemed to be more of a fear of letting go of control. This robot basically seizes power over this power station. His job, his entire existence, is to make sure that this power source is maintained and works properly and does what it's supposed to do. That's his job. The only way that he can do that effectively is to take it over, and to take over all of the robots within it that are working on it, and to create basically his own little religion that revolves around the power source, and that all of them, their job and goal is to serve the power source. And the human beings on board just hate this because for some reason they feel like they could do a better job. It's an interesting way to look at things, of just like, this machine will never stop doing this job. It will always be dedicated to it until it can no longer do it, which is a lot more than what any human being could ever do. And so it's like this weird thing of just like, well, we don't want these robots doing. It's like, well, that's their entire reason for existing, is to do this so that you don't have to. They're more reliable, smarter, capable than you will ever be. And I think it gets to the core of that. Like, I don't like these machines because they make me feel inferior or inadequate. And it's such an interesting thing to think about. The story about the robot that could read minds was really interesting. Cool concept to approach the idea of robots can't do harm, robots can't lie, but what do you do when you know that you're about to hurt one's feelings? You're going to have to lie to it, right? So this robot is like in this weird spot where it's having to lie to everybody all the time. It can read their minds, it knows what they're thinking, and so in order not to harm it, it creates lies, and it's like finding a loophole and a way around doing things. Is like, well, I mean, I have to prioritize my rules here, and it's cool. The one about the brain that builds the interstellar ship was really cool and very weird by comparison to all of the other ones, especially when Donovan and Powell, they get on the ship, and when it jumps, they like go into hell. I thought that was all really cool and very different. The last two stories really have to really revolve around this robot politician. I thought that this was a major highlight in the book as well, and the questions that it raises. And it's like this: would you rather have a human being be in charge of everything, or would you rather have a robot who is programmed to serve humanity? And at this point, I'll take the Terminator over what I've got now. Overall, I gave iRobot a 3.75 out of 5. Reason being, I felt like sometimes it was a little uneven. Some of the stories just didn't really connect with me. Really didn't care about any of the characters, which is also fine. This is short stories. I didn't expect this to be very character driven. But when it's good, it's good. Some of these stories are really strong. I'll remember these for a long, long time. I think that they're really great. I really love the philosophy and the questions and the speculation. It's a classic. I think it's worth a reading. It does feel a little too sciencey sometimes, but I think overall it was pretty enjoyable. I really liked it, and the strongest stories of them are very, very good. But what do you think? Have you read iRobot? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and as always, thanks for watching. Bye.